The world of roller coasters is a great one, filled with incredible rides and unbelievable thrill machines. But as many great rides as there are in the world, is there a such thing as a perfect roller coaster? And not only that, but will there ever be one? So let's take a look at some of the highest rated roller coasters in the world and determine whether in fact they are flawless. First off, Steel Vengeance. It's kind of been recognized over the past couple of years as the number one roller coaster in the world, and even though many people might not agree with that, I kind of feel like it's been the consensus pick. Analyzing the layout, it's really pretty simple. It just consists of airtime moment after airtime moment with a few inversions thrown in. So in the way of forces and looking at it from an objective standpoint, it's certainly not perfect. There could definitely be more variety of elements, more variety of sensations, forces, that sort of thing. But it definitely has length going for it, with over a minute of prime ride time and tons of air time. This definitely is one of the best rides in the world, but is it perfect from an objective standpoint? No. Next, let's look at Zadra. This definitely has a layout with more variety. It's got airtime, it's got inversions, some intense moments, lots of whippiness. But the problem with Zadra is that it looks too short. I haven't ridden any of these, of course. But again, just looking at it objectively, it seems to have a really good layout. Lots of airtime, like I mentioned, a variety of forces, but it is too short, and there's really not enough substance in the layout to really make it be considered perfect. Next is Iron Gwazi. This just opened this year, and lots of people have been calling it the best coaster in the world. Dethroned Steel Vengeance. Again, this is just opinions, but objectively, this definitely does look to have a better layout than it. It might not have as much airtime or as much overall in the layout, but like Zadra, it has a variety of forces, some intensity, some whip, some inversions, and overall, these three do look like some of the top roller coasters in the world. But again, they're all RMC Hyper Hybrids. The only three RMC Hyper Hybrids are some of the world's best. But again, there's lots of little things that could detract a ride from being perfect. Take a lot of RMC's creations, and these three really in particular, the restraints. I mean, I've actually ridden one RMC, Wildfire, and from what I can tell, the restraints are very bulky. Not painful exactly, but they definitely hinder the ride experience. So perfect by its definition means flawless, and that's a flaw. Next is Velocicoaster, which opened last year. This one I did have a chance to ride. And speaking from experience, I can say it's an amazing ride with lots of theming, airtime, basically just what everybody's been saying about this. If you haven't ridden it, go ride it now. But anyway, I wouldn't call it a perfect roller coaster, even though, like people have been saying, it's a complete experience. It doesn't have all the forces I'm looking for. It specifically lacks in intensity. It's got some hang time on the stall. But again, there are just so many forces that a ride would kind of have to include if you look at the definition again. I mean, I keep going back to this, but it literally says all of the elements that's needed, which is kind of ironic. But yeah, Velocicoaster isn't perfect. I love it. It's amazing, but it's not even my number one. So now that we've established, I mean, these are just some of the top roller coasters in the world, and everybody's got a different opinion. In your mind, one of these might be perfect, but like I said, objectively, from a guy who hasn't ridden many of these rides but still talks about them a lot, none of the rides in the world are really perfect. So what would one look like? Well, it'd have to have a huge multitude of forces, varied, airtime, hang time, intensity, drop, launches, laterals, positive whippiness. I mean, come on, there's just too much stuff. Too much stuff that a ride would have to include. Good theming, landscaping, all that crap. And I mean, there is no perfect roller coaster. There never will be a perfect roller coaster, because roller coaster perfection is unattainable, and that's because it doesn't exist. So while there may be incredible coasters out there, nothing's perfect. Nothing ever will be. But I certainly hope manufacturers try to make something perfect, because that just makes better rides for the rest of us. Thanks so much for watching.